We're soon coming up to International Women's Day, and for the occasion, I was going to make a video broadly outlaying my thoughts on women's rights, feminism, and issues around that. Um, whether or not this serves in that capacity, I don't know, but for now, I'll just speak about perhaps a slightly more specific issue, which is the notion of sexism in politics. Now, recently, there have been a number of high profile women on both sides of the Atlantic that have come under either criticism or, in the case of the Democratic presidential race, they have failed to secure the nomination or failed to secure the nomination. Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren come to mind. On this side of the Atlantic, Priti Patel has come under heavy scrutiny over alleged bullying. Now, with this is once again, because this is an old story, it's nothing new. Um, Once again, we've seen this argument of women facing unique challenges in politics. This is something I would definitely raise some question marks with, i.e., the default response that women struggle because they are women in Western politics. Um, so let's look at this. Let's break this down a little bit. With the Priti Patel case, there was a piece actually in the Daily Telegraph. I can't recall the reporter now. This was actually an opinion piece. Um, Let me just check out yeah, this is an article by Eleanor Stiefel in the Daily Telegraph. She argues that whilst women are capable of being bullies, they are judged in a different way. And she argues that what is a woman being assertive will be seen as bullying. But you could easily look at that as well, if a man is quite hard line, particularly to a woman, then that is automatically seen as bullying. I don't agree with this idea that women are accused of bullying just because they're women. I would say, if anything, it's the other way around. And you might say, okay, I would say that because I'm a man, but there's evidence for that. Gordon Brown, John Burko, both accused of bullying. And I don't know so much about the Burkle case, but in the case of Gordon Brown, it was supposedly the way he'd spoken to female colleagues. In the case of Priti Patel, it's how she had supposedly spoken to colleagues and civil servants. Now, again, like I said in the video I made about this, I'm not behind those doors. I don't know what's going on. She may or may not be a bully. It may be that she's crossed the line, or it may be that her political opponents are trying to smear her. Who knows? But one thing I just find a bit galling and tiresome is why gender's coming into it. That should be totally irrelevant. Um, and then if we extend this to the Democratic race, again, the question has come up, why is Elizabeth Warren not kind of capitalized? Why is Amy Klobuchar not got forward? It must be sexism. With Elizabeth Warren, I don't know why she didn't do as well as Bernie did. I haven't looked into the details of that, but I'd be surprised if sexism was a factor, particularly in a Democratic race. I mean, if sexism was a real major problem within Democratic Party ranks, why would it be that their most successful candidate ever in terms of the Electoral College vote, if not getting the presidency, i.e. Hillary Clinton, sorry, excuse me, not Electoral College, the popular vote, the time, the popular vote, Hillary Clinton got more popular votes than any candidate in American history. Now, she didn't win because of the way the Electoral College system is set up, but surely that flies in the face of this claim that women don't get ahead because they're women. I'm not going to say that things are perfect for women in the Western world, say the democratic world. Well, um, I'm not going to say it's perfect. There are issues that may well impact women more than they impact men. But you know what? There's issues that impact men more than they impact women. And it sounds almost like a cliche now reading off the list, but why is the male suicide rate higher? If men have all the power and if things are so great for men, why is the male suicide rate higher? You know, the leading cause of death for young men in Britain is suicide. That's just a fact. Um, so clearly it's not because men have all the power. Um, but sticking to the issue of politics, because to be honest, there is a lot of talking points around feminism and around women's rights issues, and around the whole gender war, whatever you want to call it. But being more specific, if we look at politics, man has to tread carefully actually when he's competing against a woman, because if he um, if he sharply rebuked her, if he criticizes her in a sharp way, he's being seen as overbearing and a bully for no other reason than he's a man and she's a woman. I even recall when Biden debated Sarah Palin in the vice presidential debates back in '08. The media were talking about how he had to tread carefully, not to be seen as overbearing, and he did. You know, he was very respectful throughout the debate. It was a pretty civil debate, it has to be said. She pitched for McCain, Biden pitched for Obama. But the point is, they were putting that unique expectation on Biden not to be overbearing. And this always happens when it's a man and a woman in a debate. We've seen that here in the UK as well. Um, so if a man is too sharp in his criticism, even if he sincerely believes his opponent is wrong, no, she's a woman, so you have to go carefully. Where's the equality there? The implication of that is it would be fine if he's a man. You know, you could be as fiercely critical as you want. That's a man. So it's a level playing field. So feminists can't really have it both ways. They can't say we demand women are treated in the same way, but then when they are treated in the same way, oh, that's sexism. So then a man tries a more moderate approach. He just disagrees. Well, then he's patronizing her, or he's telling her how to think. He's patronizing. So basically, no matter what a man says, there will be people out there who accuse him of sexism. So you cannot win with that sort of mentality. If you're a man, you're always wrong. Because if you disagree sharply, you're a bully. If you disagree gently, then you're patronizing. And it just gets really, really tiresome. That's what I deeply dislike about third wave feminism. Everything is through the prism of gender. In other words, if I disagree with a man, if he if he sharply disagrees with me, it's because I'm a woman. And this is the mentality. I posted about this just now, and a French friend of mine, well, to be quite honest, she's an acquaintance. I haven't been that close to her for a number of years, but she basically said, "Oh, women don't need to hide behind the defense of sexism because it's always there." I've responded to that. I don't know how she's going to respond, but you know, that's feminist logic. Everything is sexism. And how can you meet someone halfway when whatever you say, they view it through the prism of victimhood? I respect strong women who don't hide behind sexism, who actually just get on with it. And if they do well, it's because they've worked hard or they have, hit the right pitch with voters. But this idea that if a woman loses an election, it's because she's a woman, is just, that's patronizing to voters, male and female. It's also insinuating that women voters who vote against her, they're traitors to their sex. They must vote for her because she's a woman. I think that's one of the mistakes the Clinton campaign made. Although the Clinton campaign done well in the popular vote, that may have well, I don't know, it may have lost electoral college votes in places where it mattered because when Madeleine Albright said there's a special place in hell for women who don't vote for Hillary, the candidate should have rebuked that and said, no, no, we can't force people to vote for me. Hillary laughed at that. She should have distanced herself from those comments, and she didn't. So I just find it really tiresome, these old debates. It's not to say that there aren't legitimate concerns out there. It's not to say that on issues like abortion rights and you name it, a lot of other things, seeing justice in rape cases, for example. I mean, in this country, there is a woeful lack of convictions. So that's an area where I think women would have legitimate concerns. Um, and there's other cases, but the problem I find with third wave feminist thinking is that everything comes down to that default. It's because I'm a woman. What is interesting though is we're seeing a rift between kind of second wave feminists like Germaine Greer and third wave feminists. And what's also interesting, and this is maybe branching out a bit, maybe it's for another video, but we're actually now seeing these third wave feminists kind of having tasted their own medicine when it comes to the transgender debate. Now, it's one of the few areas I think that they're right about. I think biology does matter. I think the definition of woman matters. And it's one of the few areas I actually agree with third wave Western feminists. I think they're right to speak out against that. But in a sense, they're kind of getting a taste of their own medicine. They're being smeared as bigots. They're being polarized in the very way that they've been doing to men for years. Portraying men as the enemy, constant male shaming. And some of us really are sick of that crap. I mean, I will treat women with respect insofar as I treat people with respect in general if they deserve it. If someone has done something that is not worthy of respect, I'm not going to pander to them, but I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I meet people, I treat them with civility. Um, Certainly, some areas, I think that there is a difference in how you treat people. For example, if I'm on a bus, and again, this might be branching out a bit, but if I'm on a bus, I would give up my seat for an older person, for a disabled person, for a pregnant woman. And that's it. I'm not going to give up my seat necessarily for an able-bodied young woman who has no problem. She's not pregnant, not problem, but extra baggage, so to speak. If she's pregnant, yeah, that's different because she's in a vulnerable situation. So of course I give up my seat. But women, when they complain about the lack of chivalry, they need to look at third wave feminism. Third wave feminism has taught that if men are chivalrous, that's patronizing. It actually ends up, ironically, both third wave feminists and masculists hate chivalry because masculists see it as being better male, pandering to women, and feminists see it as patronizing. And that's quite sad, actually, because I think chivalry has a place, certainly in a romantic context. I mean, if I'm on a date with a lady, I'm going to pull out the chair for her. I'm going to open the door for her, not because I'm trying to virtue signal, but just because, a little bit of romance. Why not? But, and also, when it comes to physical strength, I do accept that there is a different context to punching a man as versus punching a woman. Now, I happen to believe that you shouldn't go around punching anyone. That's common assault. That's wrong. And I don't think it's okay to punch a man unless you're defending yourself or someone else. But yeah, there's obvious things there. But again, that's biology. That's not a geopolitical thing. It's not an ideological thing. It's just common sense. If a woman is physically less capable than a man, then you don't use the same level of strength against her. However, if a woman's lunging at me with a knife, I'm not going to not defend myself. I'm going to do whatever it takes to defend myself in that sort of situation. So I think what we're missing with a lot of the whole gender wars is just common sense. And I think definitely third wave feminism has a lot to answer for in terms of dividing men and women, unquestionably. Unquestionably. Having said that, the reason I don't fully endorse the whole MRA types is they kind of go too far themselves. I don't think they're as big of a phenomenon as third wave feminism is, but they will go to the other extreme of really, really downplaying domestic violence and just dismissing legitimate concerns about women's rights. Um, there is also a kind of frat boy subculture within that that I have no respect for, that thinks rape jokes is funny, that sort of thing. No, no, if you're a civil human being, you should see that for what it is. So I certainly don't endorse that whole call it what you will, alt-right, proud boy, anti-feminist subculture, because I don't even see myself as particularly anti-feminist. I'm okay with the basic principle of feminism. What I dislike is the way third wave feminism goes about things. What I dislike is the way that they constantly frame men as the enemy. And they can deny that, but they're not necessarily going to be going out saying, "Oh, I hate men," but they will frame every disagreement as through the prism of gender. It's a bit like ethnocentrists, whether they be white supremacists or black supremacists. They all do the same shit, which is to turn people against each other. And that's what I loathe about identity politics. Um, and you get it on both sides. It's more a domain of the left, but I think there's actually been a response from the right to carry out their own kind of identity politics. And if we look at the hard right, Noam Chomsky said that white nationalism is one of the most aggressive forms of identity politics. In a sense, he's right, but I think it's kind of escalated in response to the other side, and that's not a justification. I have utter contempt for white nationalists. I think they're fads. I want nothing to do with them. I certainly wouldn't want to be associated with them. But these culture wars, it's like two flamethrowers going in either direction. It's really sad. I'll end with one little anecdote that I had not so long ago. When I was in China, there was a young American woman in our orientation group, teacher. She was from the Midwest, I believe it was Minnesota or something like that. Can't remember. She was young. She was only about 21 or 22, but already you could see that the whole hardline feminist mantra was deeply ingrained in her thinking because we just come out with these random rants over nothing. I'm not saying directed at myself, but just in general. I remember once I was sitting at the back of the bus, there was the other teachers as well. That sounds like something else, but anyway, yeah, I was at the back of the bus. We were on our way from a school somewhere. Anyway, she was talking to the other women teachers, like, "Okay, girls, this will really help your feminist rage." And I'm sitting there thinking, right, look at the nice mountains outside. I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna get into it. I just couldn't be bothered to listen to it. So I kind of tried to distract myself because I'm thinking, ah, change the record. And I noticed the other women weren't exactly jumping on board with that, but this was always the case with this person. And she also claimed that the film Ready Player One was about toxic masculinity because the young guy in that had fantasies where, his dream girl was dancing with him. And if you've seen the film, it's kind of set in a semi-dystopian future. But, when I look at someone like her, I think that is an example of the sort of very weak ideology of third wave feminists. These are not strong, independent women who are thinking for themselves. These are, frankly, little girls in women's bodies who cannot accept that sometimes people disagree with you. Sometimes it will be a man disagreeing with you, and it's not because you're a woman. It's because he just doesn't happen to think that what you're saying is correct. That's it. So I do find it a little bit sad that this mentality is out there. because all it does is put men on the defensive, and that's a pity. Because as men, you have two choices: you virtue signal and you completely pander to them, and you say, "Oh, you're absolutely right. We are terrible. We have to be allies and we have to agree with everything you're saying." Or you have some self-respect and say, "Actually, no, I'm not going to apologize for being a man. I will speak out against abuse of women. I will speak out for women's rights, but I am not going to speak out for equality plus." In other words, if you genuinely believe in egalitarianism, then when it comes to voting, you vote for the candidate you think is best. And that's it. Just my opinions. You don't have to agree. Okay, thank you for watching.